Hi everybody and welcome to my page. Today is going to be a Star Wars themed day because I just picked up this lovely and unused 1999 Star Wars Episode 1 Heroes and Villains coloring book. Some of the other books that were available 24 years ago now. There's the 1999. This book only ran you $2.99 in the US back in 99. Something tells me that if you went to Barnes & Noble to buy this book, I bet it would be more like $15 to $20 nowadays. But at Goodwill, it only ran me $1. And I've got my Positive Art 60 high quality colored pencils. I don't remember how much these cost, but I think they were somewhere around $20. It's got 3 palettes of colored pencils. Let's see. Look at that. Those are nice looking colored pencils. Perfect for our Star Wars coloring book. I don't know exactly what I'm going to color today. I thought maybe we could look through. I did do a quick look through earlier, and I do have a couple pages in mind, but here is the Star Wars Episode 1 Heroes and Villains coloring book, written by Michelle Newston, illustrated by Jesus Redondo, Random House, New York, Lucas Books, 1999 Lucas Films. Can't go wrong with Lucasfilms, and there are some of the first photos, the classic Anakin Skywalker. It's hard to believe that that's Darth Vader. Every time I see that kid, I always go, that's Darth Vader. Wow, he looks a lot different as a kid. And there's his mother. Always seemed like a nice lady. We've got a lot of, let's set this down to make it easier, a lot of side characters in here. What's good about this book too is that there's a lot of different leveled pages, a lot of details on some pages if you're into more detailed coloring. See here too, some very detailed pictures. And some more simpler pictures. Of course, Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson, classic. There's Obi-Wan. Good action sequence here. That would be a good page to color. That was one I liked, but I think as you can see from some of my featured toys, I might be leaning another way. But let's look through. There's Queen Amidala. Nice landscape scene. This really is a nice book considering it was only $3 back in 99. Plenty of pages. I don't even think I'm halfway through the book yet. Padme again. A lot of Padme. Soldiers, the governor of Naboo, another landscape scene. You know what I haven't seen yet is the Death Star. Although I don't know if that's in this book. There's Jar Jar. There's a lot of Jar Jar in this too, which I guess if he's going to be in any book, he's going to be in Episode 1. There's the Gungan soldiers. Supreme Chancellor, I believe was Malcolm McDowell, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like him. They did a good job with these pictures. The Jedi Council, that's a good one too. You got a lot of characters in that one. There he is, Samuel L. Jackson, the Great. It's funny looking at all these pictures now after the last few years of Star Wars series and Star Wars movies, where you learned so much more about a lot of these guys. There's Qui-Gon and Anakin. There's a nice one. How about Darth Maul? I could color that one, but I haven't gotten to the page that I was thinking about coloring. We're getting there though, because I can see we're going towards the villains. I always thought it was amazing how popular Darth Maul became and how limited of a time he was even in the series. He had such a short stint in the movies and he became so popular. As you can see, there's tons and tons of Darth Maul products. Darth Sidious. That's a cool one. That's got some good detail in it too. That would be a good color. That's the page I was looking at. Could you tell? I am definitely leaning towards doing a Jabba the Hutt. I'm not sure if this is the only page she's on, but we'll continue through and see if there's any more before we get started. That's a good one. I wouldn't mind doing Watto. I remember, does anybody remember those old Pepsi figures that when you walked into like a 7-Eleven, there was, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had a full-size Watto figure. And I think they had an Anakin too, and there was, I believe, a Yoda. They would have these full-size figures when you walked in, and they were so cool. I always wanted one. I remember they did them for Lord of the Rings too, because there was a Gollum, a full-size Gollum figure that I remember. That's a great photo too. That could be a good color. Any of the racers, I think, would be fun to color, especially with their vehicles. That's a good landscape shot. More Tusken Raiders. There's the younger Palpatine. We all know what happens. We all now know what happens to him. And who's related to him. Oh, there's some more. There's another Jabba and Watto in the same one. Nice villain shot. We're almost at the end of the book here. Here's a good shot of the heroes. Is that the last page? Oh, a good final shot of Anakin and his master. Journey through the galaxy of exciting adventures in these Star Wars books. Do you guys remember these from the 90s? These were, when I was a kid, these were all the rage. Okay guys, I think you know where I'm leaning. I think I've got to do the Jabba, because I've got Jabba sitting here, it seems only fitting, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pick a green. What green should we go with though? We might have to do a couple greens, but I know he's usually darker, but I'm going to go with a little bit lighter green because I don't know how it's going to come out on this page. But let's try it out. That's a pretty nice color. These are nice pencils. They don't break too easily, but I did bring my X-Acto pencil sharpener because I'm sure I'm going to need it. I don't know if everybody out there has watched all the new series, so I'm going to do my best not to spoil anything, but I love The Mandalorian. And I know if you're a Star Wars fan, I don't think I've heard one Star Wars fan tell me that they don't like that show, which is kind of incredible considering Star Wars fans are we're crazy, we're nuts. There's no doubt about it. I guess it sort of goes with any major series. You know, a lot of the Marvel fans are nuts too, so I guess we're not the only ones. And same with Star Trek has their people, their Trekkies or Trekkers, which right there already tells you that they're crazy, because if you're going to argue about what we have to call you, I mean, Trekkie, Trekker, whatever you want. I always thought a cool name for Star Wars fans would be Warheads, but that never really caught on. So, if anybody wants to start calling them that, feel free. I recently watched the Obi-Wan series, and that was great. I really enjoyed that. It was cool to see the actors come back, especially after, you know, it wasn't such a well-received, the movies weren't so well-received in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think they still aren't really. I know a lot of the newer generation seems to like them, which is cool. But when they first came out, we were really confused by why they changed so much, and you know, obviously everything was getting more animated at the time, and we had a lot more technology in the 90s than they did in the 70s and 80s. But man, Jar Jar was an interesting way to go. And of course, making Yoda into a cartoon was kind of weird, because he was such a beloved puppet figure. It's almost like if you make the Muppets into cartoons, it's not the same. And I'm not saying it was bad or it was a wrong choice. I know there's a lot of tension over that, and I don't mean to cause problems, guys. But Han shot first. But I really enjoyed the Obi-Wan series, and I think Giancarlo Esposito, I think is how you say his name, the guy from Breaking Bad, who plays one of the villains, I forget. But he was just, if you watch the new season I think it was the 3rd season of The Mandalorian, he's in it a lot. And boy, is he a great actor. Really, really good actor. I don't know exactly if I should. I think I'm going to stick with this green for now. I like this green. He kind of looks like a big booger, which he is. So we'll stick with this green for now. And like I said, I have not watched, I actually watched maybe 30 minutes of Andor, and I got just bored with it. And I know everybody's going to freak out at that, because everybody's telling me it's the greatest Star Wars show that's ever happened, and it's, you know, the gift to mankind. But I did get bored with the first half hour, and I stopped watching it. But I am going to try it again. I'm going to at least get through the first episode or two so I can make an actual judgment on it. I'm going to sharpen this a little bit right now. I have not used the sharpener in a while. Let's give it a go. Not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. And anyway, so I'll give that show another try at some point. But it's cool to see them come out with all these new series after all this time. Continue the legacy of Star Wars. I know a lot of us were concerned when Star Wars was bought by Disney because that's certainly a change. But so far so good, right? You gotta give them a chance. And I have not seen the new theme park yet, but from what I've heard, it's quite nice. The rides sound good. I've seen video and it looks really cool. I'd definitely like to visit. I remember I'm maybe about 2 hours from Disneyland, and I did used to go plenty when I was a kid. Star Tours was of course a big ride. But now they've got the characters walking around. From the videos I've seen, it looks really amazing. Same with Universal. Universal just came out with the Mario Land. I actually had a friend who worked on that, and it looks really, really cool. I've also heard that it's incredibly crowded right now, so just like everything, I might give it some time. Actually, that's not true. I have seen some of the Star Wars movies on opening night. Those you can't really wait for, because if you see those too late, you get too much information. I remember going to, I don't remember which movie it was. It was probably in 2000, maybe 16 or 17, going to opening night. And we went to one of those theaters that have the reclining seats and brought a blanket, and it was really cool. And it was a good movie. It's pretty amazing how they've been able to keep the same actors. I mean, how many series do you know that started in the 70s that are still using at least some of the same people as the same characters? You get to see them grow up and get older. You see Luke Skywalker now with a beard and long hair. When you think about him in the 70s, he was just this little skinny kid with Uncle Ben. And now he's this grown-up Jedi Master. Really is a great series. If you're watching this video and you've never watched Star Wars, first of all, thank you for watching. Second of all, I would highly recommend giving it a shot. Especially if you just like movies. As far as movies go, it really contributed a lot to movie culture. And there are so many references in other movies and TV shows that I constantly see to Star Wars. I mean, you've got shows like Family Guy that's made entire, I would say episodes, but they've basically made their own series of Star Wars, almost movies, movie-like TV shows. But they've done a lot of Star Wars. And it's the same with pretty much every TV show, especially if they have a Halloween episode. You know, you're gonna see a Darth Vader mask, or a Yoda costume, or an R2-D2 costume. But Kenny Baker will always be R2-D2 to me. I do like BB-8 though. That was a good addition, I thought. You never know when you get a new character, especially a new main character in a series like that. Especially a main character who doesn't really talk, but R2-D2 doesn't really talk either, I guess. And he, or it, has contributed quite a lot to the movies. It'd be cool. I know there's a, let's see if I want to change it. It's the same green. It's a little bit lighter. Stick with this. I know that there's a place, I don't think it's open anymore. It doesn't open on me. There's a place, I believe it's on the way to San Francisco, and it's called, what is it called? It's called something like Obi-Wan Ranch. It's not Skywalker Ranch because that's George Lucas's place. I believe it's called Obi-Wan Ranch, and it has the largest collection of Star Wars memorabilia. And it's not like normal memorabilia, it's like he's got all the knockoffs from Japan. It's just this guy's, I believe it's his house that he's converted into sort of a makeshift museum. And I'm not sure if it's still open, but it used to be like $50 to go to get a ticket and get a tour. And he had all the full-size statues, but I wonder where, I think about it a lot when I watch the movies because there's just so many props, even in the old movies. And you think about where they are now, just like the model of the Death Stars maybe sitting in somebody's kitchen or hanging like a disco ball from their living room. Or where are some of the original lightsabers that just sort of got passed around? It's the same, I guess, in any major series. I would think about Harry Potter must have had so many wands and so many costumes that just, they're all probably, I mean, I guess a lot of them might be sitting in storage, but some may get reused for other movies. It would be funny to see some Star Wars props in other movies. I love, if you've ever seen the movie Fanboys, which I watch every year on Star Wars Day on May 4th. Fanboys is like the best non-Star Wars movie. If you've never seen it, I strongly urge you to go watch it. It's a Seth Rogen movie, and it's got some of the Star Wars legends are in it, as well as a lot of funny comedians. And it's a fantastic, funny movie. It's a nice coat he's got. I'm trying to debate if I should just stick with one page or if I should do, I guess I could finish his tail while we're here. Let's see how we're doing. Still doing okay on time. I am definitely looking forward to seeing what the future of this series has, because they really got some great actors. I know some of them they don't utilize. I know a lot of us really liked John Boyega in the series. Kind of wish he was in it more. Adam Driver was a cool addition. Daisy Ridley was a cool addition. A lot of really good. Oh, and Oscar Isaac, boy, was he a great addition. He's fantastic as Poe. So, I wonder if, similar to the 70s, if in, 30, 40, 50 years, if these actors are going to still be doing Star Wars movies in the future, or Star Wars series, just like Mark Hamill still does. And I know Harrison Ford is obviously doing less now, but he was in some of the new series. lost a lot of the actors too. Obviously, Carrie and Peter Mayhew's gone now. Kenny Baker's gone. But their memory certainly lives on in these movies, which many of us love and cherish and watch way too many times. But life's short. Do what makes you happy. Especially if it's something as simple as watching a movie. I recently rewatched episodes 1, 2, and 3 because it had been a while since I'd seen them, and I wanted to rewatch them before I watched the Obi-Wan series. And they're definitely unique movies. I know they got a lot of, they took a lot of heat back in the day, but if you know Star Wars and are a Star Wars fan and are just watching it to gather more information on the characters, you definitely get a lot. And there's a lot of good actors too, as much as the acting is very strange. Every time it's funny, I told this to somebody, when I watch those movies, I think when I watch 1, 2, and 3, it seems like George Lucas told them like, hey, we're all gonna act like we're in a Shakespeare play. And that's how I want you guys to act in these movies. Not like actors in a movie, but like you're in a Shakespeare play. Because the acting is so a lot of times it's over the top in moments that don't call for it. But like I said, you do learn a lot. And I love Liam Neeson. And I'm a big fan of Ewan McGregor, and Ray Park is, of course, a great Darth Maul. So I think over the years, I've come to like it more than I did when I was, let's see, it came out in 1999, so I was about 7 years old when that movie came out. Yeah, so I guess if you think about it, it's probably more of it's got more adult themes in it that you can maybe understand more when you're an adult. That looks nice. That's a good little base coat there. Alright, how about if we put in some accent green? Let me go with this one. Is that too similar? Let's see how this looks. Paint some of these, color some of these little sores that Jabba has. I actually almost brought my paints. Maybe next time I'll do a paint video. Although I do really like this coloring book. I have a few more. I actually have a small collection of vintage coloring books. I have an Alf coloring book. And I have a SpongeBob coloring book, which is a little bit wild to call that vintage, I guess, but to think that SpongeBob is probably 20 plus years old now. All the cartoons series from when I was a kid are considered retro now. It feels like the biggest cartoon when I was a kid was Ren and Stimpy. That was my go-to cartoon. It's definitely would not be on television the way it was. Angry Beavers was a big show I liked. Rocko's Modern Life. All those old Nickelodeon shows. Tell me if anybody in the comments if you had a favorite 90s show back in the day. You know, it was a great show that just popped into my head. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was a show called All Real Monsters. And that show was, I thought it was so funny. I just remember as a kid being in tears watching that show. There was a lot of weirder kid shows back in the day too. We had, Celebrity Deathmatch Deathmatch wasn't exactly a kid's show, but it was claymation, so I have a feeling it attracted a lot of kids. And when I was young, I definitely indulged in that show. Seems like there was a lot more claymation TV shows. Wouldn't mind seeing a claymation version of Star Wars. I know, I think Robot Chicken has done some Star Wars stuff, but alright, let's go. Maybe we'll add a little bit more of this dark green into his arms, just for some accent work, so it looks a little more Jabba-ish. I'm just going to put some down here too. Great thing about coloring books is you can color them any way you want. Just going to add some of this for a little shadow effect. I liked when they brought in Jabba, or not just Jabba, but the Hutts into the Obi-Wan series. That was cool to see. I'm not sure if, but I wonder if the same guy who voiced Jabba back in the day, I wonder if it was the same guy who voiced him for that new series. Because it feels like they're very loyal to their actors. I would love to see. I mean, I guess you could really put anybody back in the series, because they even have characters who have died have obviously shown up again. So I would love to see some Darth Maul, some Samuel L. Jackson. I wonder if they'll ever do a Jar Jar Binks series. Maybe just publicity-wise, to give that guy some better publicity, they should do a show and try to make him more likable. Jabba's body is nice and colored, and I think for his eyes we'll do some orange and yellow. Let's get those outsides with some orange. We'll get a little yellow in those retinas. That looks much more Jabba-like. And looks like he's, I guess, smoking his hookah, or whatever Jabba smokes. I think we'll make that this light blue color, because it kind of looks like a globe to me. But we'll add some other colors to it, so it's not too worldly. Nailed it. It's pretty wild to think what one guy came up with, how far he can take one idea, like Star Wars, make it into a multi-billion-dollar franchise, amusement parks and rides, much like, I guess, what Harry Potter series has done. But obviously Star Wars did it first. I would like to see, it would be cool to get an entire Star Wars theme park, like just Star Wars. I know parks don't really do that. I get it's similar to like a Jurassic Park, right? It would be cool if we just got a full park that's just the one series. This part. Like that. Let's get some darker blue. Like I said, I was born in the 90s, so I'm a big fan of 90s stuff like this. Love, love, love 90s movies. 90s music I love. 90s culture. I'm one of those 90s kids who just loves that decade. I don't know how you can't. There's so much cool stuff that happened in the 90s. I mean, my God, we had Furbies. Furbies and Tamagotchis. What else could you possibly need? It always makes me laugh when I see some of the newer toys that come out, how much they remind me of toys from when I was a kid, but I'm sure all of our parents have said that too. What other color should we put here? Let's do a little more blue. I feel like I've made Java look a little bit too good. He should look grosser than this. He needs some snot and saliva coming down or something. By the way, while I've got you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. I know you guys know how important that is for us newbies. And hopefully I can be bringing you more art videos and maybe some more Star Wars videos. I'm just a big sci-fi fan. It's not all Star Wars, you know. I love any sci-fi. I like coloring, so this worked out well. I like it. I like it, guys. What do you think? So far, so good, right? I know I'm not coloring it the way it was supposed to be colored, but I play by my own rules, guys. Always have, always will. Wow, look at this. I didn't even notice, but I have a silver and is this supposed to be gold? I don't know if this is, I guess it's just like a darker silver. Let's try it. Let's try it out. Kind of just looks like a pencil. I guess it's got some shine to it. I'm not sure what the next big Star Wars series is going to be. I thought I heard somebody told me they were making a Darth Maul series, but I don't know if that was true or not. And I think there was something about another Anakin show, something about a new series with Anakin, which would be cool also. But George Lucas, if you're listening, I wouldn't mind a whole series on Jabba. You can skip the Jar Jar series. I think we're all okay with that. Maybe a series on Padme might be interesting. But I guess we already kind of know how. I don't know what else there is to know about her, I guess. How about if we get like a Star Wars Marvel collab? We'll have the Guardians of the Galaxy like meet up with the meet up at the Death Star. That's a cool color. I guess it is kind of a goldish. Interesting. Let's make some of this gold hardware, because Joe's got the money for it. I think I'm gonna make this. So hookah line is gonna be nice pinkish color. If you're looking for coloring books, I would strongly recommend Goodwill or a thrift store, because they had plenty when I was there in the like the kids book section. Some of them were used, but there were quite a few new ones, and they do have a lot of those newer coloring books that you see a lot. I saw probably 2 or 3 of those in there, but I do prefer these vintage ones. That looks pretty good. So far, so good. All right, we've got about I think we're running low on time, so I may finish with that. Let's add a little bit more shadow. Let's take a dark green. Actually, you know what I'm gonna add? I'm gonna add some my own little saliva dripping down, because it seems like every time I see Jabba, he's got just gunk hanging out of his mouth, and I don't know why they didn't put that on here. Just give him some nice crusty gunk. There you go. Not a bad start. Let's get that whole picture in there. There you go. Nice green Jabba the Hutt. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll have some more videos coming for you soon. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll talk to you soon, guys.